Hello, I'm Miranda Hernandez, and thank you for tuning into today's podcast, where I will be discussing something very important to me. What happens when the faith that is supposed to be about love turns into one that teaches someone to hate themselves? For many individuals, this is what leads to religious trauma and how it negatively affects the LGBTQ plus community. LGBTQ plus members are forced to grow up ashamed of themselves and are raised to hide the parts of themselves that make them who they truly are, which leads them to experience religious trauma. Religious trauma is a form of psychological abuse and brainwashing that inculcates the shameful message that people who do not follow what the church says are sinful, David in court state. However, for many LGBTQ plus community members, this trauma only deepens. Many Christian faiths do not believe that you can be gay and a Christian due to Leviticus 18:22. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. This verse has been the basis of homophobia that the religious community has used to defend their stance that gay people are not morally correct and will go to hell if they live their lives in that lifestyle, quote unquote. Parents of gay children who do not believe in the Bible use this verse to control their children and manipulate them into believing that if they choose, quote unquote, to be gay, they will not enter heaven and will go to hell for opposing God's words. These poor children are manipulated into believing they will be condemned. The religious trauma instilled in LGBTQ plus children can lead to major mental health issues as they grow older. Mental health issues such as feelings of guilt, shame, anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and religious trauma can affect relationships, sexual and gender identity, and self-esteem, according to Walters. This impacts the way that a child develops, and without proper help and therapy, these issues can persist into adulthood. A cisgender male, now 50 years old, stated that he was once so ashamed of being gay and felt that he couldn't talk to anyone in the church about his feelings, he would only pray and fast. Another Orthodox Christian participant stated that he was referred to 2 GPs and a psychiatrist from the same religious background, all of whom offered different types of conversion therapy. Jones states that these 2 participants revealed how the church puts a hold on how someone feels and manipulates them into believing that they must change themselves in order to do what is right. On the other hand, there are many people who oppose the idea that religious trauma is a real mental illness and believe that because religion is supposed to be a good thing, there's no way it can cause harm to others, according to the article Why Do Some People Think Religious Trauma Is Not Real? These critics argue that people are lying or creating stories to harm the church's reputation. However, this is not true. Religious trauma is a very real mental illness and has a deep impact on those in the lives it affects. Religion holds deep meaning for those who follow it, and when they lose that part of themselves, other identity, it has a tremendous effect on their lives. The way churches use religion to condemn others, such as LGBTQ plus members, by labeling them as evil and sinful, shows how the church harms those who believe they are following a place that is supposed to be loving, as David in court state. There's also the fact that because the church purposely leaves out people from certain groups like the LGBTQ plus community, when they are part of the church, they suffer through feelings of isolation because the church and its members neither accept nor respect them, as Jacob Bopsy states. Religious trauma affects the lives of millions and leaves damage that takes hard work and dedication to resolve. To help us dive deeper into this topic, I have with me today JJ Sanchez. Can you share with me a bit of your experience growing up in a religious environment? How did it influence you?
It wasn't the best, I will say for sure. There was definitely a lot of control, a lot of like, you have to do this, you have to do that, strictly mostly they'll be like, you have to follow 10 commandments, you have to like memorize all these prayers and everything. So like, they'll definitely make it so they drill it in, they'll drill religion into your head from when you're young. And then growing up queer, made it worse.
Can you describe any moments where you felt shame or guilt due to conflict between your faith and queer identity?
It was all the rules of the Bible were kind of like ingrained in me. So once I just started just figuring it out myself and figuring that I am queer, I was experiencing a lot of guilt, a lot of like, I shouldn't be this way, I shouldn't be um, built this way. So like, I even started dating girls because of it, and because what's it called? I want to be part of this community. I wanted to be part of this faith, but everybody in the faith was teaching me. Not all of my teachers, all of my theology teachers were telling me like, you can't be both at the same time. It's either, I mean, like the community of teachers, like even like outside of that, like you can't be both. You can't be gay and religious, which is not true at all. Definitely not true. But it was a reality that I was facing with.
What steps do you think the faith community can take in order to make the community more inclusive?
Get rid of the homophobic translations, the ones that make it so that it's so much homophobia. It's because those original texts were not meant to be homophobic. It's supposed to say men lie with boy, not men lie with men, because a lot of Greek philosophers would sleep with their students at the time, and then also get rid of get rid of the other one that speaks about homosexuality, because the word homosexuality wasn't in the Bible until the 1940s, and that the word that used to be there was pedophilia. So it's definitely like we need to change not only our structure of like the Bible, but also the structure of the church, and like learn to love thy neighbor more. Like focus on the teaching of Jesus, because Jesus would never want anybody to be discriminated against. He always supported his friends that were in the most like trouble, the most like I guess sin the most, or like most like not like religious figures, I guess. But he still supported them no matter what. I think there's more of that needs to be in the church. More support, more love for each other. Because if you start shaming each other and not showing support, then you push people away from the church.
Religious trauma is a form of psychological abuse and brainwashing that inculcates the shameful message that people who do not follow what the church says are sinful, as David and Court state. Its effects are detrimental to groups that diverge from the status quo in the church, such as the LGBTQ+ community, who are considered immoral and wrongful by the church for simply loving who they love. Many people who suffer from religious trauma express how they still feel shameful even when they are no longer part of the church because of how deeply it was engraved in their minds since childhood. In order to heal those affected by religious trauma, we need to recognize it and create spaces that are inclusive for those individuals.